Hello players and GMs, this is Aaron. Thank you for tuning in to another video by Jetpack7, where we give insights on how to play Dungeons & Dragons and also cover subjects relevant to the role-playing game community. Before we dive into today's video, please consider subscribing and checking the notification button as it helps us get the word out and build our channel. If you like what you see here, you can support us by visiting jetpack7.com and ordering our products there. We would really appreciate that. Let's get started. The 5th edition Tarrasque compared to previous editions is considered nerfed by many. But let's try to make a Tarrasque encounter specifically for 5e a little spicier, shall we? On the surface, a Tarrasque is a big, tough animal with lots of hit points. It is impressive for sure. With a challenge rating of 30, it should be a challenge for a very high-level adventuring party. However, the only real obstacle PCs will face is when they engage melee and get within reach of its Swallow feature and Chomp legendary action. Sure, the Tarrasque has a frightful presence of 120 feet, but a +1 longbow can go up 150 feet with no penalty, which will allow the more experienced PCs the ability to stay out of range. Regardless, the frightful presence really only serves as a temporary inconvenience at this level. Realistically, a party can stay out of range of a Tarrasque and simply pepper it with arrows until it is finally defeated. There are other, quote, methods as well. A player can research message boards to undermine the Tarrasque, like bringing in a clay golem to fight it directly, for example. But let's focus less on cool internet tricks and come up with something a little bit more interesting. While it may be fun on the surface to beat a Tarrasque so easily, using basic metagaming strategies like that, I like to think of the Tarrasque as an amazing end of the campaign type monster. It should be epic, so let's go there. If we're sticking with the 5e version of the Tarrasque, let's consider bringing in some help so the Tarrasque can do what it's designed to do: cause terror and destroy cities. Help is on the way. It's unlikely a Tarrasque would have minions it would control with an intelligence of 3, but whenever it does show up, it would get a lot of attention. A Tarrasque doesn't plan, it reacts. The massive beast would most certainly leave a trail of destruction. Powerful beings of the world would get word very quickly and either take advantage of the chaotic events or try to save the day. Evil or nefarious beings of the world would most certainly let it happen, if there is something to be gained from a rival city being destroyed, for example. Think of a narrative event associated with the arrival of the legendary Tarrasque. Avoid it being just another monster fight. It should have ramifications that reverberate throughout the world. It should be an event. In this scenario, we're going to bring in help for the Tarrasque in the form of a cult. Such a legendary beast would more than likely be worshipped as a force of nature. Its presence alone would attract followers who want to see it fulfill its destiny. The Tarrasque would serve as a reminder to those who have grown complacent or have settled on sacred lands, for example. Regardless, understanding why the Tarrasque exists is beyond the mortal mind to comprehend. The cult knows everything came out of chaos, and the world will end in chaos, and the Tarrasque will help facilitate that. That's how I would play it, at least. I suggest populating the cult followers with skilled and specialized adventurers, just like the PCs. The cult can vary widely with races and classes, with their focus on allowing chaos to come into being. They would follow the path of destruction caused by the Tarrasque, keeping their distance, and then step in to ensure the beast can fulfill its destiny. The cult members would most certainly be fanatical and also be willing to sacrifice themselves to the cause. The cult members don't even have to be high-level foes. They can have abilities to occupy the PCs just enough to serve as a distraction so the Tarrasque can focus on its destructive intentions. Use abilities such as flying and effective ranged attacks and spells. The idea here is to supply cover for the Tarrasque to do its thing. Given how high this encounter is to take on a Tarrasque directly, don't hesitate to throw several cult members at the party before they get close to it. The cult members should be fanatical about how they protect the beast. They would act as the first or second wave of protection and even try to take out a city's defenses, allowing the Tarrasque to inflict maximum destruction. Cult members could use covert methods to get intel on the strengths and weaknesses, if any, of a party. At this stage in their career, the PCs would be known or even famous. They would be the heroes of the region or even the world. They would be expected to save the day and deal with the Tarrasque threat once it begins its rampage across the world. Unless the PCs take measures to hide their plans, the cult members could set up ahead of time to set a trap or delay the heroes. Eyes and ears are everywhere. The idea here is not to have the Tarrasque end up being just a random encounter where they just beat up on a big monster for 10 rounds. It's all about the setup, so the final battle has a more satisfying payoff and also gives the big beast its due. If and when the PCs are victorious, there should be a sense that the Tarrasque was an inspiration, representing a force of nature in animal form. Keep in mind the Tarrasque's instincts would be to live. It would be a victory to simply drive it away by reducing it to 25% of its maximum hit points. Once it realizes that this city isn't worth it, it would do its best and disengage and dash away to fight another day. If a GM really wants to go there and make a Tarrasque encounter extremely powerful, definitely check out previous editions. Port some or all those abilities over. Here's a basic list of abilities that can be added. Ignore all enemy resistances and immunity, including critical hits, when a Tarrasque attacks. The Tarrasque can fire horns at any creature it can see. The horns reset after a long rest. Give it a gravity aura of 150 feet. When a flying creature enters the aura, it drags them down to a maximum height of 20 feet and slows them to half speed so the Tarrasque can attack them. Increase the Frightful Presence range. Give the entire inside of the Tarrasque an anti-magic field. Add a charge ability similar to a Goristo or a Minotaur. Give it a 1 time per day roar that causes Dispel Magic. After the roar, it leaves an anti-magic field that surrounds the Tarrasque for 1 minute. Add Regeneration. Even when the Tarrasque is reduced to 0 hit points, it requires a Wish spell to keep it from regenerating. Keep in mind, these are just suggestions. This is not a list of how to kill your players. The idea here is to challenge high-level players and give the Tarrasque more time to inflict as much destruction as possible. Have fun with this, and if you all have any other suggestions on how to make a Tarrasque more powerful and more fun, feel free to leave those in the comments below. We really appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.